The world of Fallout is a bloody, ugly, violent place filled with factions fighting for supremacy. And in Fallout, you try to be a peacemaker. But what does the Bible say about finding peace in times of war? Hello, YouTube. Deacon Do here with study number 3 on our 10 study series of Bible lessons we can learn from video games. So, that very short introduction, Ron Perlman, a quote from many Fallout games: War, war never changes. And that's very true, whether it is a physical war between two countries. In Fallout, it's a global scale war, but it's between primarily China and America, right? Of course, it affects the world as we know it, but it could be a, a spiritual war, an emotional war. War is very similar regardless of what the scale is, right? It's two forces battling it out. If it's a spiritual war, it could be you versus temptation, you versus Satan, right? But is it really you versus Satan? No, it's not. God's got your back, and God has your back in a lot of ways. We've gone over, the previous series, we looked at the armor of God, right? And in this series so far, we've looked at how to navigate through storms. We've looked at perseverance. And today we're going to look at finding peace in tumult, finding peace in turmoil, which every day we deal with some sort of turmoil. My son has a job, and he it's his first real job, and he is struggling with some of the ways of the world. Not that he's sheltered, but he's struggling with um different personalities at times or different goals, right? He's doing well, but as we talked about a couple of days ago, actually, is God doesn't always want you to take the easy way, because the easy way does not always match up with God's plan. And so he came to me the other day and said, "Hey, look, I don't know if this job is for me." And I said, "You're probably right. It's not. It's not a good experience, but it is good experience." And I told him, "Pray on it and see what God tells you." We know that this is not going to be a long-term goal. This is not a long-term job. This is not a career. This is a short-term, high school, college age job. It is what it is, right? And it's not a bad thing, right? But the easy way would be just to quit the job. Well, is that what God really wants from him? Or is God putting him there for something else, to gain experience, to maybe reach out to somebody? You never know who's going to come through the door where he works. And because of who he is, he may touch somebody, right? He may have an impact on their life. And so, we always have a war going on inside of us, whether it's making a decision, whether it's a spiritual war. Wars can be, even just a disagreement between friends is a type of war, right? It's not as bloody as, say, a global war, but it can have devastating effects. A disagreement between friends can cause that friendship to break apart. Um, and so, with that, we've talked about, like I said in the last series, the armor of God and all the tools in our toolbox. And today we're talking about peace in the middle of tumult, in the middle of turmoil. And so we actually have two Bible verses. I originally was going to just do one Bible verse, but they're both from the book of John, and they're not too far apart from each other. First, let's look at John chapter 14, verse 27. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So he first starts out saying, "Peace I leave with you." This is a very custom tradition at the time with the Jews, is shalom, peace, right? And so he starts out with that, but he goes on and he says, "My peace I give to you." Right? So this is something beyond just the normal Jewish goodbye. This is him now giving us a gift. "My peace I give to you." And the word "my" is emphatic here. It's not just a conventional "peace be with you." It's Jesus' personal, special gift of peace. And this is a peace that Christ gives that can banish fear and banish darkness from our hearts. If you notice sometimes in the middle of tumult, believers they have that initial burst of emotion, but they also very quickly calm down. They very quickly understand that this is in God's hands. And that's part of the peace that Jesus has given to us is that we don't worry about the ways of the world. We don't worry about, you know, the weeds of things, right? We don't worry about the details of things. We know that God has a plan for us. And there's a lot of times in my life I could give examples where I've given stuff to God and God has given me a way to get through the storm or get through the situation. Doesn't always have to be turmoil, but to get through the situation. A lot of times before I even make a major purchase, I pray on it, right? Is this something that I really need? Is this something that is, I don't want to say that God wants me to have, but is this something that I should put in my life, right? Is this something that is going to help me be closer to God in some way, shape, or form? And God's not saying you can't have creature comforts, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is, before you make a lot of major decisions, Christians pray on it. We have a budget season at church, and before we vote on the budget, we ask the leadership to pray on it before the leadership approves the budget to take to the congregation. And then we take that budget to the congregation 10 days before we vote on it. Well, why? Because we want the congregation to vote on the budget. It's a major decision. The other verse is John chapter 16, verse 33. These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And so, of course, or Jesus here is saying, hey, look, I know the world's going to give you troubles. I know the world is going to give you tribulations, turmoil, storms, whatever you want to call it. But in me, in Jesus, you find peace. And this is a very common theme throughout the entire Bible is that the peace that Jesus gives is everlasting peace. It's peace that digs down to your soul. It's not just some surface level gift, but this is a personal gift that Jesus has given every single one of us. All right, I appreciate you guys hanging out for today's study. We will be back tomorrow with the study number 4. And I think tomorrow's study is going to be God is our quest giver. So, one last note, I appreciate y'all hanging out, but if you are looking for a Discord to call home, right here should be a link to my Discord. It's a group of guys and a couple of ladies, but a group of folks that like to hang out, play video games. We, watch sports together. We just kind of hang out and just, chill. But if it's something that interests you, please join Deacon's Den. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other and have a great day. Goodbye.